A GM! To YouTube, the Slayer blog is here. The blessed Slayer blog. We have waited many, many moons for the blessed Slayer blog. Everyone was wondering where it was, and it is here. There's some good stuff here. Let's just get right into it. So this time we're revisiting that dedicated Slayer QL banner from our RuneFest roadmap. Yes, we were waiting for it from RuneFest. Yes. Once you get to grips with Slayer, you'll unlock access to great training methods, lucrative loot tables, and exclusive bosses. But if you've ever introduced a friend to this iconic skill, you'll know that actually understanding it is half the battle. Today's changes fix some long-standing issues with Slayer. We're giving you more flexibility when setting up your tasks and more time to actually slay things instead of scheming up ways to scam Turael. Turael mentioned in a blog in current year before GTA 5. That's crazy. Turael mentioned in a blog before GTA 6. Real. Ever since Cristelia arrived, players have been begging for a wilderness-specific block list. Who can blame them? It's laborious, time-consuming, expensive to rejig your block list every time you want to dabble in Wilderness Slayer and then swap back to regular Slayer afterwards. We've been unable to deliver this in the past because it's proved too technically challenging. Now we have technology. We want to go bigger. Give every Slayer Master their very own block list. Every Slayer Master. You won't need to unset and reset your blocks as you progress. You'll be able to optimize your block list to achieve different goals. A Turael block list that gets rid of nuisance tasks while you're boosting points. A Turael block list set up for the best XP per hour. A Neve list for maximum Inferno tasks. The world's your oysters. Won't this mean you're throwing points away? No, as of this update, different Slayer Masters will have different prices for blocks. So Turael, you want to get that Turael block list unlocked. 40 points, which is not too bad considering how much they are refunding, which we'll get into. They're refunding a lot of Slayer points. So that's really good. You'll have a bunch extra, which you can just immediately spend on something like this. If you do a lot of Turael, you want to make a block list. By the way, made a quick block list for when the update goes live. We've got banshees, bears, dogs, dwarves, lizards, skeletons, and wolves. And you're actually going to start doing cow fights, which is really weird. Like normally you block cow fights as a whole, but you will block it on your main master when you do Turael skipping. And then you will actually do the cow fight task. The Desert Amulet 4 takes you right to the cave. It's it's super, super quick when it's a small amount of cow fights. You're dodging the giant amount of cow fights from like Turael, like when he assigns 200 and Turael will not skip that for you. Now you're just going to do the Turael variant, which means it's worth doing. Way, way faster, by the way. If you're going to do Turael with this new block list, this is like easily 25% faster. These tasks are so much slower than the others. It's going to be crazy speed up on Turael. So that's amazing. And then we have the other masters all have their own. Konar is only 80 points, so it's a little bit cheaper. And then Steve 90, Turael, Curdal, and Cristelia. So Cristelia also 100 points. The other thing is that if you set up a Wildy block list, Wildy Slayer is the fastest way to get Slayer points. It's 50% faster, roughly, than point boosting through Turael. The big issue with Wildy Slayer is gone. You don't have to set up a block list for it every time. Now you can have a block list set for Wildy Slayer, do some, get a bunch of points, and then go back to doing what you were doing. So this is amazing. This is an amazing change. You now can do Wildy Slayer at will. Turael has been drastically improved just by virtue of this basic change of allowing a block list at all the masters. And there's way more than this. They've put in a new UI element as well. So they have a view list button and it pops up. Oh, it's gorgeous. It tells you the amounts possible on Slayer tasks. It tells you the % chance of getting that task, which is really annoying to go get. You'd have to go on the wiki, do math, like calc the weight versus other weight. Now you just can see like your % chance of getting a task immediately based on your blocks, like makes it so much easier. They let you block from this list. So after the update comes out, you can just instantly set up these block lists because they're gonna clear the block list, refund all the points. You can just immediately set up your block list for everybody if you want to. Such a good change. This is so much more intuitive for new players, and it's also just so much cleaner and nicer. Blocks are a really annoying interface, and like the list of tasks here is just so convenient. Like you can see exactly what's going to happen whenever you get a task. Okay, early game point changes. So one of the issues facing new Slayers is that Slayer points can be hard to come by if you're engaging with the skill as intended. No new player wants to hear that task sucks. What you should do is 49 Turael tasks killing rats and birds, then a Konar task, and do that again 5 times, and then you can start playing. We've counteracted this by giving Maskana and Vanaka a little nudge. Slayer points aren't exactly a precious resource. Effectively, they're just upping these guys' Slayer points. So now Maskana is 6 points, and Vanak is 8 points. This is still not going to be worth doing. Like, you're not going to want to do these. But for the people who are new, like they're starting Slayer, they're doing Slayer for the first time, and they're getting an introduction to the skill, they're not getting screwed quite as hard by these early Slayer masters. That's really nice. That's a good change. Unlock point costs. So outside of skipping and block tasks, you've also got the option to extend them, unlock new tasks, add some QL improvements to existing tasks, or unlock new features like superior Slayer creatures. We're reducing bigger and badder from 150 points to 50 points. Whew. So you can, on a new iron or whatever you're doing, you can get bigger and badder unlocked with a single 10-point streak, which is crazy. That's so good. That's so much better. There are a lot of low-level Slayer monsters with superior variants, but by the time most players unlock this perk, they're well past these. Skip them entirely unless they wind up trail skipping in the future. Yeah, no one's going to see the giant cave crawler in early Slayer because these cost so many points. Now they actually will, because you can, if you're doing these Slayer Masters, you actually get some points, and then it just costs 50 to unlock it. Way better. Way better. This should just, like, be a thing that everybody's given with Slayer, so it's good to just hand it over at a really low point cost. Task storage from 1,000 to 500. This was, like, so not worth it. It was nice if you were like post 99, like going for pets, like setting up task storage. Maybe you want to store shaman's tasks for your CM speeds, but now this is probably worth unlocking at some point on the way to 99, which is great to see. Like, it's so weird to have unlocks that are a thing that you get once you're done with Slayer versus a thing that you really want to push for. So this is great. This will actually probably be worth getting now. Love that. Reduce Ring Bling from 300 points to 150 points. There are so many higher priority unlocks early on that this one gets deprioritized. By the time you have enough spare points to consider it, it's barely even worth the unlock. Well, I would argue this is an incredibly good unlock, but it was expensive. Like 300 points to make Slayer rings. 150 is way more fair. I love that. Great change. Slug Salter and Reptile Freezer reduced to 10 points, basically nothing. These cost far too many points for where they're actually relevant, especially considering how minor their impact is. So you could get Reptile Freezer now, even though you probably are going to block lizards if you're doing Turael. So these aren't going to be super relevant to you, but it's nice for like the people doing early Slayer. It's a good change. It's a change that Slayer needed. Not to mention that all of these are getting refunded to you. So on my main, I'm going to immediately get 500 points from this, 100 points from this, 150 points from the... You are set. So all of these, like, a new additional block lists that you need to create, you're going to have the points to go do it. Love it. So good. So good. They're also just wiping everybody's block list and letting you restart from scratch with all the points refunded. So really, really generous, really, really good. You'll have the ability to go start using all of this immediately without doing any stupid point boosting annoyance. Great change. We initially considered task unlocks like Lizardmen or Avayanzis free to toggle, but we're still on the fence. Mostly we're concerned about encouraging unfun gameplay loops where players are sat around toggling things in the UI to try and game the chance for a better task. Yeah, I can see that. I feel like what they should do is reduce the point cost once you've... Let's say you unlock Lizardman Shaman and then you don't want to go for Warhammer anymore, you cancel it. Maybe cost like a third of what it costs to unlock it to retoggle it. Something like that. Because it would be annoying to like gamify it like every single time you do a task, like to go toggle these, like, oh, I want to go for Zuck now. Oh, I don't care about Zuck anymore. Like you're toggling back and I could see that being annoying for sure. I get where they're coming from. So reduced cost is probably the play. That would be nice. I would like if they did that. Dragon tasks. As part of Project Rebalance last year, we removed dragons from the task list of some early game Slayer Masters, which was well received. The problem is that even later in the game, there are so many types of dragon tasks that they still crop up more often than some of you would like. Well, we think blue dragon tasks have their place, either for Iron's Banking Prayer XP or players wanting to fight Vorkath. And black dragon tasks are a quick couple of points at the baby black dragons in Taverley. Metal dragons are a different beast entirely. We'd like to combine bronze, iron, steel, mithril, adamant, and rune dragons into a single metal dragons task. We'd also bump the default quantity to 20 to 40 and let you extend metal dragon tasks up to 150 to 200. This means in theory you could slay 200 rune dragons at a time if you like. Wow, that's so good. Rune dragons are really, really solid. They're not crazy for XP, but they're super good GP, and they're nice. They're like a solid AFK option. So this is a task I think a lot of people are going to be doing. If you have your sights locked on Rune Dragons on this update, a lot of people don't know the Dragon Hunter wand is super, super strong here. It's a lot better than Lance is. It does more damage, and you also take less damage counterintuitively, because you're like, oh, I'm in robes. Like, I'm going to take a bunch of damage. But what you're doing is at the Rune Dragons, you take your Dragon Hunter wand, your full mage robes, and your insulated boots, which is now not costing you much because it's mage boots versus taking away your melee boots. You sit in the middle of the room, Rune Dragons shoot you, and they're not going to be in melee range, right? So they're shooting you with arrows, which you're praying ranged against. And then the only damage you take from the dragons is mage. And you're praying augury in mage robes, which has, like, not the best mage defense, but it's not bad. That's, like, the one thing it can do. So if you want to go do rune dragons, take in the new Dragon Hunter wand there. Pretty good. Pretty good. That would be a very solid task, for sure. You'd make a lot of money, decent mage XP, not bad. The weightings of existing tasks would be combined into metal dragon tasks, but a little lower than the sum of their parts, meaning you'd see better tasks more often. Ultimately, this means that rather than having multiple feels bad skip tasks, you end up with just one, or you can block them out entirely if you'd like. This is big. So not only are all of the metal dragon tasks getting lumped together, you also can just block them all for one slot. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So no more iron dragons, no more steel dragons, no more bronze dragons from Konar if you're doing that. Like, it's all gone. It's all gone. One block slot. Almost certainly that'll be worth a block slot. So that's really good to see. And it's cool that it's actually worth doing for people that want to make some cash on the side, like doing rune dragon tasks, and you can extend it to do a lot of them. This is great. Now, I'm curious how many people are going to end up doing the rune dragons. They may need to add a slayer spot for them or something. We'll see. We'll see how that shakes out. You might be hopping too much for rune dragons, but you know, we'll see. We'll see how many people end up doing that. I think it'll become a little bit more popular, so. It's worth noting that with some of the defense changes outlined in the first summer sweep-up log, they'll likely be a little bit more appealing than they currently are, so maybe give a task or two a go before blocking them forever. Hell yeah. If you pay for Mithril Dragons, you'll be able to refund you the points. All your blocks are getting reset anyways. Cool, so they're giving you points back on the Mithril Dragon unlock if you had that. That actually was worth unlocking before because it was a fast points task, but now it's part of Metal Dragons, and you get the points back. Cool. Herbs. This last change addresses a common point of frustration with loot from mid-game tasks. You've saved your points, grab the elusive herb sack, set out on another task, and oops, suddenly your inventory is full of noted herbs. The space-saving QOL unlock you worked hard for isn't saving you much space at all. We'd like to make low quantities of noted herb drops unnoted so that they can easily be stacked in your trusty sack. Here's a full list of creatures whose noted herbs we'd like to convert to unnoted herb drops. Keep in mind that they only drop 1 to 3 herbs at a time, so your herb sack should prove pretty useful here. Adamant Dragons, Basilisk Knights, Fossil Island Wyverns, Lobstrosities, Ancient Zygamites, Shazian Criminals, Lizardman Shamans, Drakes. So the only one that would really affect, like, meta stuff is Lizardman Shamans on the Warhammer grind. If you were trapping them and doing that method on your iron to boost them quickly, you don't get to stay there a long time anymore because the herb sack is going to fill up. Even if you have the herb sack, you might not even have the herb sack, in which case your inventory is going to fill up, like, immediately. You'll have to leave quickly. Kind of annoying. I personally would have done this a little differently. I would have just made it so if you get noted herbs and you hit fill on the herb sack, they don't go in it. But if you manually use the note on the herb sack, then they would get deposited into your herb sack, just like any other herb. I get that's a little bit, like, gamey, but it's a video game. It's fine. It's not a big deal. No one would be mad about that. It would just be nice for when you get that single. It is annoying. Like, a lot of these have a single noted herb drop that just fills up your inventory. And if you have an herb sack, you don't get to use it. So I feel like that would have been the best possible solution personally. But I think overall this is a good change. It kind of sucks for the Lizardman Shamans, I feel like. And then other changes. So that is the full Slayer changes. There are some other good changes. But the big things with Slayer, you are getting a ton of points. Post-change. Your entire block list is getting wiped. You get all the points back from that, so you're going to have a huge lump sum of points, and you can do block lists on all of the Slayer Masters that you want to. Turael, Wildy Slayer, you can have a Konar-specific Slayer task, you can do all of this. That is incredible. This is such a good change. Slayer is becoming dramatically better. I have felt for a long time that Slayer is, like, well, first of all, Slayer is the slowest skill in the game. It's also... It feels so clunky, archaic, old. They keep adding these tasks that are not worth doing for Slayer XP. There's a lot of issues with it. So all of these changes they've done have taken away those, like, pain points of, like, Turael is annoying. All these different tasks are annoying. Like, getting these are annoying. Getting Iron Dragons. You never want to see those. Never want to see Steel Dragons. So all of these are amazing changes for just making Slayer better. Love to see it. Also, the UI changes are going to make it feel a lot better. So this is great. Amazing changes. Amazing, amazing. It's going to change the way we approach a lot of things and make a lot of things faster. So I'm super hyped for this. I cannot wait for this. Let's take a look at the other stuff as well, because there are some good other changes. Here they added a Gargoyle Bane, effectively, to the Granite Hammer. Probably not going to be a huge deal, but it could be kind of nice if you end up getting this on an iron, or you have it as a main for your gargoyle tasks early. I don't think this is like hugely changing anything, but it's just kind of nice. I like this. The flavor on it is nice. Great change. It's cool. I like this. Mage Training Arena. They're adding a rune pouch. This is going to cost a little bit less than Bones to Peaches, like 25% less than Bones to Peaches, and be an alternate way to go get it. I think this is still going to be slower than LMS, but it is a good option that it gives you magic XP. Because when you go do LMS, for your rune pouch, you're not getting anything. You get absolutely nothing except the points towards it. But if you go do Mage Training Arena, you actually get quite a bit of XP. It's a very good training method early on an account. So I could see this being a very solid option for a lot of like early irons, early other accounts, stuff like that. This is a good option for going for that. And it makes sense. Like, it's nice to have more options to go for the rune pouch than just do LMS. So I like this. Moon keys are getting buffed dramatically. The tooth halves specifically, because they're giga rare. They made it so they're like 10 times more common from frost crabs. I could see this being a thing people actually start doing. If you have a bunch of these stockpiled, going and doing frost crabs could be very solid. If you don't know, these are in the dungeon where Moxie is, and there is a spot with 3 of them. They have 100 health, I think. They're also double weak to fire. They have 100% fire weakness. So if you just got your Twin Flame Staff, let's say, on an iron or something, or your early training mage, you want like an AFK option for training mage, Twin Flame is okay there. Also, just like using any staff, because Twin Flame does lose the XP on the bonus hits, which sucks. But even then, it hits so hard, it's pretty good. It would also get you keys really quickly, because you're gonna rinse through these crabs like nothing. Just using a normal staff as well, though, like very solid. So that's cool. Blue dragons are getting buffed, 1 in 250. Moxie from 1 in 500 to 1 in 125. So Moxie, much better source for these, much more reasonable. I feel like they could have taken this even lower, honestly, but it's not too bad. This is pretty fair. I'm curious to see where Frost Nagas end up. They probably should have included that in the list. Where are Frost Nagas at on the list? Because those are a thing people grind for the Frost Hammers as well. I would assume it's just going to be 5x Moxie's rate, because that's what the Frost Hammers are as well. So maybe like 1 in 600-ish. Yeah, okay. So Frost Nagas are a lot more like incentivized now over Sulfur Nagas, which is interesting to see. They're not as AFK and they're not as good, but they do drop prayer potions. There's a couple things on there that are nice. Might be a decent option for getting these keys. And then Huey from 1 in 150, who was the best source for these, to 1 in 75. So much faster. This is nice. On my irons, I have like so many of these key halves saved up from calcified rocks. I have like 10 to 30. I think on the backup we have over 30 key halves. So this is going to be really nice. We actually might end up using some of those. That's great. Great change. Also, they're adding the moon helmet to the collection log, which is fair. I think this is a lot more reasonable to go get now. It's going to be one of the rarest clogs still, even with these changes with like 10x faster rates. But it seems somewhat reasonable now to include it versus before where it was like the rarest item in the game, period. Insanely rare to get. This seems more reasonable. So it feels like Stale Baguette kind of level where it's like very rare, or like Jar of Darkness. I'm okay with that. Arceus spell tweaks. So they're changing the rune cost of a lot of things. They're making Dark Demon Bane 1 soul rune, 4 chaos runes, 7 fire runes. Instead of just 2 soul runes, 7 fire runes, there's 1 soul, 4 chaos, 7 fire runes. I was looking at the thread on stream. I was like, okay, that's just a cheaper cost. That's kind of nice. But on Reddit, someone mentioned that this now requires you bring loose chaos runes out of your pouch at Yama to carry all of the runes you need, which is kind of annoying. I feel like they could have just, I get the idea here. Maybe don't make it chaos. Maybe make it like 1 or 2 death runes. Something like that might be a little better. Then it fits in with your death charge runes, like something like that. I could see that being a little better, maybe. I don't know. That is kind of annoying. So I feel like a little bit of an oversight. Like that does make it annoying. They even mention Yama here, but it makes it so you can't carry as many runes, which sucks. Also tweaking the rune cost for summoning thralls, which is crazy. So instead of 5 blood runes, 4 soul runes. Now, what this means, it actually isn't changing things too drastically. It's not going to let you carry like different rune quantities, because you still need a soul rune and a blood rune for death charge, because death charge takes a blood rune. So it doesn't mean you're going to use less runes, but it's a little nice. You're not spamming blood runes like crazy. This is like the main sink for my blood runes on the iron, and I've had like almost 40,000 soul runes, like from grinding chambers and stuff. Now I just got a shadow, so that's going to go away. Haha, very lucky. But I think this is a little more fair. Blood runes just get spammed like crazy in the mid game because you're doing all of these barrage tasks. You're doing all of this thrall casting. So I feel like moving this to soul runes kind of evens things out a little bit. I kind of like that. This feels a little at odds with the move away from high soul rune costs for Dark Demon Bane. Our rationale is that if you're casting these far less often than repeated Demon Bane spells, this alleviates some inventory pressure for proper Arceus usage, sir. I kind of like that. I think this is a good change. I think this one should be Death Runes instead of Chaos Runes, and less of them, probably. And then we're probably good. And with that, you're up to speed. So that is all of the changes in this update. This update is going to be so incredibly good for Slayer. I can't wait to be doing this. It's going to help things so much, make it so much faster, so much less annoying. Great changes. Now, there's a couple things I feel like were missed. One of the things I'd like reduced cost on, if they're still open to it, is Slayer helmets. The Slayer helmet cost is 1,000 points. And there's like, I don't know how many, 8 of them or something like that. They also require you get a drop from a boss, which will be semi-rare. So we have this thing where it's like, oh, I just got a semi-rare drop. I just got an Araxor head. Now you have earned the right to go grind 1,000 Slayer points. It just feels obnoxious to me. It's always felt kind of obnoxious to me. I feel like those could be way cheaper, like 300 to 500 points maybe. Maybe even less. I don't think I'd even be offended if it was under 100 points. Maybe that's a hot take, but I feel like the main thing with the helmets is getting the head drop. Like the Calphite head for the green helmet, the claw for the purple helmet, the Araxor head for the cool orange helmet. Like, that's what is the main thing. You're not flexing to people, ooh, I did so much Turael, so I could combine this into my helmet. Isn't that cool, guys? I'm going to walk around the G now to show off how many Turael tasks I did. Like, that's not... They said themselves that, like, Slayer points aren't really, like, a precious resource, so maybe they could change that. I'd be okay with that. The one other thing I feel like they could have done here, they got the Metal Dragons bulk together, but there's a lot of other things that they could have added variants like that for. The main one is demons. There's black demons, there's greater demons, there's lesser demons. Just making a demons task would be really, really nice. Idea I had also was maybe adding devils as a task, so you could do either dust or smoke devils, and then maybe like half dragons as a task, so things like wyverns, drakes, worms, wormlings. Like, you could turn all of that into a task, because those are all super terrible tasks that no one likes doing, no one wants. Now, obviously, this is that would be a huge buff to Slayer, but I feel like Slayer needs it. It's the slowest skill in the game. It would remove a lot of the friction with terrible Slayer tasks and open up options for people that want to do things like those tasks. Give you more options for doing the kind of task you want to do. I feel like would be a really good change. I would like half dragons. I think that would be a great change. I'm good with leaving black dragons, blue dragons as they are, because those are just 2. So their decision on that makes sense to me. But there's other tasks they've added, like with the Farming Guild update, with all of those like dragons that are weak to Demon Bane, but like you never ever want to kill. That'd be nice to be lumped together. And that's it for the blog. Gorgeous blog. Again, a gorgeous blog. Same as the other summer sweep up. These updates have been killer. They're so good. I'm really hoping they put this one out quickly like they did the other QOL changes. If we get this in like under a month, oh man, we're going to be cooking. Reminder, next week, Mocha comes out, the Delve boss, which is a new high-level boss, somewhat similar difficulty to Yama, where it's a higher-level boss. You're pushing through caves where the boss gets harder and harder and harder, up to Cave 8, where you then have the choice to repeat to get better loot. They are adding a new, incredibly powerful wand. It's a little bit weaker than Shadow, but it's incredibly strong. Also has a spec. They're adding new Tribird boots, and they're adding Confliction Gauntlets, which increases your accuracy after you miss, which will be incredibly good with that new wand. I'm very excited. The new items look really, really strong in a lot of places. I can't wait to get my hands on them. I will be live the instant it comes out, so I better see you there, all right? Or else. Leave a like, subscribe, all that stuff. Peace.